What's going on? Welcome back to another Hobby Hang stream. Today the plan is to work on the base of this Warp Spider's Phoenix Lord. She's looking pretty good. Pretty good, I'd say. And the base is fairly adequate as well, I think. But I think it's time to put some water texture down and begin figuring out how that will play off of our OSL Warp Blast here. And because the texture stuff takes a bit of time to dry, I figure it makes sense to start with that. This is essentially the same old process in my basalt basing video. Just gonna put this on my palette and water it down a little bit. Yeah, I see Altharius's message in the chat there. Yeah, maybe there won't be any political arguments this time. We'll see, whatever. What happens is kind of beyond my control here, so... Well, I guess to an extent. Alright, that shouldn't take too long to dry. It's a fairly thin application of the earth texture. And while it cooks, I think I want to do the eye lenses here on this Warp Spider's Phoenix Lord. So I got some old Talassar blue contrast here. I'm going to mix it with a little bit of contrast medium and see where that leaves us, because I don't want it to I don't want it to be too potent right off the bat. I can always build up stronger layers is my reasoning. Hey, welcome Alfarius, welcome. Thanks for joining in on the Hobby Hang. Oh man, this is a dead Lothern blue, that's for sure. Okay, we'll have to mix our way there. I have some light turquoise and off-white, so that'll have to do. It seems to be working all right. It's a fairly light blue. Let's do another coat of this. Just so I know those eye lenses are gotten, you know? Same process as the Easy Eye Lenses video. Old paint go burr? Not quite. I wish it would go burr. I blame the faulty paint pot design. When I ended last night's stream, I claimed that I might do some edge highlighting, and that might have been a little preemptive. Generally, I like to have all the main elements in place, and I think they kind of is almost there, but because the water is probably going to have to reflect the OSL blast, I think that should be built up a little bit more before I go to something like edge highlighting. I think I should add a bit more of Hexwraith towards these, I don't know what to call them. These are your Warp Spider thigh straps. It seems to be a thing, an accessory they all have. You recently built an Impulsor and painted Vulcan Histan, did you, Alfarius? Very nice. Very nice. I like the Impulsor, the aesthetics a lot more than the Gladiator. For whatever reason, the hatchback seems to balance the front end of the Impulsor fairly well, but the Gladiator doesn't claim that benefit. I also got my gloss varnish on standby. Now it's nearly dead, but I think it'll have to suffice. This might be its last battle. And I think Phoenix Lord is a worthy application. This blade should catch more light this way. You have also learned the Salamanders do have a Chapter Master. Of course they do, of course! The Salamanders have to have a Chapter Master. Every chapter must have a Master, right? It'd be crazy if they didn't. How do they make decisions? They do it by vote. A Council of Elders. Okay, I think the eyes are ready. So I get some Talisor blue on the palette. And I'm not really one for ratios, but this is, I'm gonna just try a 2-to-1 here. More of a paint by feel guy. Okay, well first I'm going to get these tentacles out of the way. And I will continue trying to hit these spidery eye lenses. Yeah, I think diluting the contrast was the right choice. It's already pretty potent. We can clean up the overspill here, though I do want some overspill. Let's see what we can do. Ah, crap, I gotta sneeze. Alright, I'm back. Okay, let's try this again. Welcome, Volgan War. Welcome. C.R. Smith. Hello. Thanks for joining the, checking out the stream. Hopefully you find it boosts the hobby morale. Hand reveal. I suppose technically that is true. You finished up your kit bashed Shrive Talon for your Chaos Space Marines kill team earlier today. Oh, very nice. A Shrive Talon. I guess that's like a specialist in the Night Lord's kill team. Maybe a melee expert? Oh my god, screwed that up. Well, that is the risk. And that's why I have the contrast blend ready to go. Oh, the specialist operative for the regular Chaos Space Marine kill team. That is a model I quite like. I'm a big fan of the Shrive Talon, now that it's been clarified. I like his skin flaps. Oh, not a sentence I thought I'd say. But yes, keep in mind the context, guys, alright? He has cool shoulder pads. Gonna have to clean that up a little bit. Yeah, the quote. You got the quote, Alfarius. I hope you're happy. Hope you're pleased with yourself. What do I think is better, Teclis or Eldrad? Oh, who do I think is better? I'm gonna have to expose my lack of knowledge. I don't know too much about Teclis. I thought he was just a paint pot this whole time. So by default, I guess I'd say Eldrad. Oh no, Teclis is no. You know what? I'm thinking of fantasy. In 40k, I'm not familiar with Teclis. Unless maybe he's only in fantasy. Is Teclis the guy who's the armor in Age of Sigmar? Is that Teclis? Or am I thinking of someone else? Ah, you do mean the fantasy versus 40k. Okay, so again, I know very little about Teclis, other than, if my understanding is correct, he is a disembodied suit of armor in Age of Sigmar, which I think is very cool. Is that the same guy, or am I confusing my fantasy elves? Age of Sigmar, god of the elves. He survived the death of the world. Well, that's a pretty impressive feat. Will Eldrad survive 40k? I don't know. Welcome, Kitbash Carnage. Welcome. Good to see you. Sup, how are things? Things are going well. Working on this Phoenix Lord still, but I think she's shaping up pretty well. Pretty well. How are things with you? How goes your hobby projects? Uh-oh. Kinda goofed that up right there. Okay, let's test if our earth texture is dry. What are we feeling here? Feels pretty sturdy. Okay, so just give all these basalt and bottom of the cork here a bit of a dirty earth shade wash. This is my homemade mix, but as you can see, it's a little didn't plan for this. I don't know if there's enough. Might have to use the real stuff. There's a bit in there. The bottom of the swamp. Gross. I prefer to use the homemade stuff because it's a bit more glossy of a finish. It's more of a satin really, but not as matte as the GW washes, which for the watery base I'm doing is kind of preferred. All right. Now we'll put this aside for it to dry again. Use thin down contrast for other colors of wash. Interesting. What do you guys thin down contrasts with to make them more, to make them behave more like a wash? That's the question. Such a cool base. It comes with the Artel Mini. Yes, correct. So, yes, Volgin. Volgin War. Is that a Metal Gear Solid 3 reference? In any case, yeah, so she's jumping out of the portal. That's the idea. A little bit of a OSL challenge for myself, but I think it's... I am happy with how it turned out. Still work in progress, but the overall aesthetic's in place. While I have the base out, maybe I'll use my old Citadel gloss varnish here. I find this is just way more glossy than the gloss medium I have from Vallejo, and maybe that's just a case of using the wrong product, or hear me out, maybe because it's the bottom of the pot, it's more potent, more powerful. We'll see, maybe I'll do a little bit of test here. I'll use gloss varnish on this side, and we'll see how the gloss medium does on the other. Yeah, the gloss medium. Maybe it's intended to be mixed with something else. But you'd think using it plain would just be like a perfect gloss varnish. I'm just gonna mute myself while I shake this up. Oh, I see. Your screen name here is a reference to MGS3. Nice. And for your dark silver metallics, you add 3 drops of water to 1 drop of rattling grime. Very interesting. I'm gonna give that a test. Next time my Nuln Oil runs out. It always does. You know, sort of the way that goes. Oh, here's a question for you guys, okay? So I've painted these legs to hopefully look like they're hot, you know, kind of like a Terminator portal. Like the material was just eviscerated from existence. Should that same treatment be applied to this side of the gauntlet? What do you think? Probably, right? Okay, we'll see how this gloss medium dries. Pyro says yes, okay. To keep it consistent, okay. Sounds reasonable. Oh, well, Pharisee say don't overdo it. I don't know how much you'd see it necessarily. Well, I guess on this side you would see it pretty clearly. From tabletop play perspective, you probably won't see it at all. Maybe just this lip. But technically, this isn't a model you would play. So I think that wash needs a little bit more time to dry before I do a dry brush over the rocks. So what to do in the meantime? Gotta do something about the underside of these. Maybe it's fine, actually. Maybe just leaving it a dark blue is reasonable. Sort of evaluating the state of the model as I'm going through it. Don't really have a formulated workflow in mind for this model here. Interesting Vulcan War. Yeah, I've heard the Null Noil, the new version of it is different than the standard we've all become accustomed to. My pot's pretty old, and I think the pot I have now is actually old inventory from my local game store, so I think it's the older formula. But going forward, I may have to go the Rattling Grime route. Yeah, these lower eyes down here are gonna kind of hard to make them read because they're cast in shadow and they're just always looking darker. You turn it upside down and you can see the color's the same, but maybe that's just the nature of the beast. Yeah, so I saw people are pretty mixed on the Lamarties. I thought I thought my opinion was gonna line up with the majority, but I guess not. It's okay though, you know. I can appreciate people being excited for new models. But you can bet what's gonna be in the thumbnail of a Blood Angels thematic list build. Old Lamarties! We do have some spirit stones to do. Again, I begin by hitting it with some... What is this? Incubi Darkness, probably? Looks like it. The plan for the Spirit Stones is to do a similar effect as what I did on this test one here. Where you got like a dark, well, basically a green Spirit Stone. But I want to suggest, or I want to sell the idea that these Spirit Stones are being affected by the OSL. So I think the hot spot remains white, probably, but then a harsh green on the opposite side, refracting through. I think that's the idea. That's my plan. Vulgan War says, I like the new Lamardi's pose. But doesn't seem like they took any design cues from the old mini. Just seems like a brand new Blood Angels chaplain rather than an updated version of the old character. Yes, I agree with that take. Alfarius says, I think they could have been a bit more creative with the design. He just looks like a Primaris Assault Terminator. Yeah. Those are kind of conflicting points. I see the merit to both of what you guys are saying. I think there are certain GW models that should be respected when they're being up-resed, so to speak. And I think Lamardius was one of them. I think he was a nice sculpt, great pose. I believe that pose speaks to his character, though I could be wrong about that. And I liked his aesthetic. I liked how adorned he was. The Blood Angels should be a bit more, in my opinion, like gaudy than the other chapters. A bit more ostentatious. Okay, gem colors. Incubi and Saborite, probably. That should work. And then we're layering which way? Towards the opposite side? Yeah. Oh, we also have a gem on the torso here. Yes, Vulgan War, you have an excellent point. I think the jump pack straps are a huge loss. And I know 10th edition, or well, not 10th edition, Mark 10, Tacticus, whatever, jump packs don't have the straps. But, for the Death Company, who's denoted by the red X, and for Lamardi's, who's kind of like the captain-in-chief of the Death Company, the guardian of the lost, I think that is an excellent design cue for him. And it's right on his chest, drawing attention to his center of mass, rather than having these weird X straps on his shins he has now. Yeah, I'd probably, like, if I was really motivated, I could probably do, like, a critique video on old Lamardi's versus new Lamardi's, but I'm just... I don't know if that's worth the effort. Maybe it would, be very receptive, because it seems my take is not... There'll be people pushing back against a spicy thumbnail, right? New Lamardi's is worse, and here's why. You know, one of these videos. It's something to consider. I don't know. It is sort of news this week, right? Maybe that's... Maybe I'm convincing myself in real time. Because I feel like when I made the post, I could have When I made the post with referencing the Chad versus Virgin meme, I felt it was applicable. It wasn't just doing it for the lulz. I wasn't just trolling. I feel like you could fill out the meme with all the text, though I didn't because of lack of time. But I feel like the meme could be filled out, and then all the points would be like, yeah. A lot of things that change with Lamarty's are for the worse. Kind of goofed this gym. Get some off-white and make another sharper line in there. Could have given him some unique decorations to his... Oh, wait, sorry, I read that already. I actually like how he's changed from an upright stance, towering over with menacing authority, being hunched over, ready to charge at the nearest opponent. Looks like he's succumbing to the Black Rage. Yeah, you know what, Alfarius? If that's a lore update for Lamarty's, then I think it's much more acceptable in terms of, like, the demeanor that he's bringing to the battlefield, right? That aspect of his characterization is being demonstrated in the model more accurately if this is a character arc. My understanding is he's sort of the calm in the storm, right? Lamarty's is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he guides those who are lost as they're meandering through the death visions of Sanguinius, right? The Black Ridge. Which I like the previous pose for that in that respect. I mean, it seemed appropriate, and he had some nice poise, you know. I'm also a sucker for the sad chaplains over the angry ones. I think angry chaplains are funny. I think they're a little extra for my tastes, but I can appreciate people wanting them to be angry. Like, I am full of rage, and I will slay you, right? I don't know. I can't help but think they're cute when I see that. So over the top. So you have Angron with his arms spread, being very angry because he's the incarnation of demonic rage, and then you have Lamarty's, who's also in the same pose, roaring. You know, okay, this is what it is, I guess. Maybe I'm just a hater, okay? Maybe that's just what it is, and I'll have to accept that. So with a bit of off-white, I'm going to put a little speckle. Hopefully that's good. Well, I guess they look like gemstones, right? Sometimes you work on something and look at it with too much focus, and now you can't look at it. It looks funny forever. but I think those look like gemstones. Maybe a bit of gloss varnish will help. I'll bring it closer so you guys can see. God, the camera just adds, oh, not 10 pounds, but it makes it look uglier. I don't have a model analogy for that. The camera adds 10 layers. It looks like shit. I'll get some Hexwraith and just draw it over this side. I think this makes sense. You wish you knew Blood Angels lore? Yeah, I mean, it'd be cool. Can't, it's too hard to learn all the lore, man. It's too much. There's too much, and this way you get to have cool conversations with people. But you think it'd make it even more interesting that the man who is guiding others through the rage is also failing to navigate it himself? It adds a tragic element, certainly. But I feel I can't. Maybe I'm just too biased to like the old pose, but I feel like the older pose just screamed or just framed Lamarties as a much more tragic figure. What's the news on the Death Company there, Pyro? Are all the datasheets gone now? Just Assault Intercessors? No more Firstborn? Spilleth the beans, yeah. Oh, your Blood Angels friends love them? Yeah. I think if I was a Blood Angels guy, I would be big into Lamarties also. Seems like a pretty cool name character. Ah, Death Company is just an upgrade sprue. That's a bummer. I think when GW makes decisions like that, I just want to say, you know what? Just put your old models on the table and count them as, you know? Count them as Assault Intercessors, whatever. Okay, let's shift gears over to the base now. Yeah, this looks ready for dry brushing. Doesn't look wet. Okay, dry brushing recipe for the basalt bases. Dawnstone and then a lighter gray, which I'll probably mix a bit of dark sea gray in with Dawnstone. Actually, they're fairly close in color, looking at them, so I'll probably just do one then the other. Losing a data sheet or two for Death Company. Yeah, it seems to follow the trend. Look at Deathwatch, right? Jeez. I'm assuming you don't have your Spectrus and Ominous kill teams anymore. Like the Primaris cool mixed squads. I might have to skip this track if there's vocals. I know the YouTube doesn't like that. Okay, let's see. I got too much of the paint off. Probably go for another 45. Well, we'll see. I have to hard stop at 9:30. We'll see how the stream goes. Wonder if Tycho is going to Legends? Maybe. Wouldn't surprise me. Oh yeah, now those rocks are looking much more rocky. I mixed in a little bit of off-white for like a final kind of highlight here. Okay, cool. Really should take more effort to clean my dry brushes so they don't just nuke the brush completely. Okay, next step. Next step is probably applying a bit of water texture. Now, the challenge. The challenge is I could not find my small GW spatula. So, I have a plastic knife here. Only the best. Only the best for you guys. We'll see how it goes. I think I want to apply this in such a way, ideally to suggest a blast force on the water. Oh geez, look at this mess already. God. No, my painting handle. It's getting ruined. Okay. Well, we got some cleanup to do, that's for sure. Probably want a little bit on the front side here. Have to go in and do some shape work afterwards. This stuff takes forever to dry, so no risk there. This is not going as I thought it would. Oh, we need to get more on this side. Okay, now let's try and build some larger waves. Yeah, something a bit like that. Trying to apply it in such a way that it conveys energy, right? Like the water's being whooshed from the blast. I've played a little bit with this kind of idea on the Wave Serpent bases. You'll be heading out, Pyro? Thanks for stopping by. Always appreciate the company. Let's see what we can do with a little bit of water. What happens to the consistency here? Are we able to sculpt this a little bit more? I really like the shape over here. That looks pretty sweet. It's not bad. Actually, it's drying faster than I thought. Okay, I think I can remove that excess off the rim without ruining the shape at this stage. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. My painting handle. Well, I suppose I can take a look at the gloss varnishes now that they're this water's applied. Nothing much else to do in the meantime. You know what? They're kind of comparably glossy. Alright, let's do another layer though. Let's do another layer. I'm actually hesitant to work on this model anymore. The base, that is. Because prone to smudging those waves. Ruining them. It's kind of like working with green stuff. Once you got it looking the way you want, I kind of don't want to touch it anymore. This side I think is cool. This side is... The back is fine. The front, not so much. Let's see what we can do here. Oh, Jesus. What have I done? I can't believe it. I do like that shape better, though. Jeez, I'm just bluing myself here. This is crazy. All right, we're gonna leave it. Gonna leave that for now. Have to resume the water basing tomorrow. Wait, tomorrow? TBD if I'm streaming tomorrow. All right, with the time remaining on stream, another half hour or so, I think I'll just continue refining the warp spider herself, the Phoenix Lord. So we'll get some Game Color Black and Toxic Mist going. Because I think it's time to define the armor a bit more. So the armor is black, and so this edge here will be dark, but there will be a bit of a bounce light, not bounce light, the dark area should stop about here. On this side. On this side, that area seems to look pretty good in terms of that edge that's going to start becoming illuminated by the warp blast. You're effectively getting a black to, I guess, white transition. Mostly gray, though, by mixing in Toxic Mist. But the Hexwraith glaze over top kind of sells the effect. guess we're edge highlighting. And before I even knew it, I was edge highlighting. Yeah, certainly crucial on these, any black material needs edge highlighting. The readability is too stunted otherwise. Okay, what happens if I put some Hexwraith near the gems? Does it look like it's light refracted through or not? Maybe it just ends up looking cool. Which I'm okay with. You need something to talk about, eh, Alfarius? Well, I suppose I'm somewhat responsible, given that I am the streamer. What to talk about? New Blood Angel stuff. Did Deadpool and Wolverine come out yet? I feel like it might have. Definitely want to check that out. Well, I was quite into the MCU up until, I guess, Phase 4. So if there's a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity with a MCU movie, I would like to indulge. That's way too bright. way too bright on this side. Oh, it came out 4 days ago, eh? Alfarius. Well then. I shall make a point to see the film. Oh, you're pretty sure Blood Angels are getting more stuff. Well, I'd be surprised, but if that's the case, awesome. I'm happy to be surprised. I want Sanguinor to get a new model, so I can release a video of my spicy take. Shit. Oh, just a paint handle. My heart. My heart skipped a beat. Apologies if that was loud. Can either Deadpool or Wolverine die? Is the fight just infinite? I believe... Well, we've seen the movie where Wolverine can die. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Deadpool is more likely to survive things such as decapitations. I don't think Wolverine can. Maybe I'm mistaken. I mean, I'm not a mutant expert, okay? But yeah, they're both regen guys. I've been pretty good about avoiding spoilers for the movie, though I don't really care one way or another. I'm not as invested in the MCU as I once was. But there was a point in time, well, during Phase 3 especially, where I was just like, oh my god. Full media lockdown, no spoilers until I see the movies. I don't love how much green is sitting in here. That's better. Just got jump scared? My bad. What actually is the Sanguinor? Is it like, is it the Primarch in a much weaker state or a Chaos Demon? I believe the Sanguinor isn't fully fleshed out in terms of its nature. It appears when they need it most and bail them out of narrative bad spots, basically. I think the vibe I get is that the Sanguinor is an unknown entity that is essentially the manifestation of all of the goodness and belief around Sanguinius. I think that's the idea. And because maybe Sanguinius is so beloved and is so psychic or something like that, the Sanguinor is able to be a thing because of the warp. I suspect. I don't... I'm happy to learn more and be proven wrong. But having your cake and eating it too aspect that the Sanguinor brings, I feel is unavoidable. Regardless of the narrative spin. Edge highlighting always makes the difference. It always does the trick. Oh, you're on quite a Salamander's revelation there, eh, Alpharius? Yeah, the Salamanders lost a whole bunch of their cool Forge World characters from the Badab War. And I say lost because they weren't even moved to Legends. How cool. There's just no datasheet. Legends. What a good system. It was kind of nice that even through something of like an offshoot through the Bad Ab War, Salamanders did have like, you know, not a range of models, but a bunch of cool characters in their roster that made them feel a bit more significant. They felt like they had a bit more love, like the special Snowflake chapters. Oh my god. My buttery fingers almost ruined this model. Such drama. They lost their special dread, their apothecary with a funny sword. I liked Harath Shen and his Bloodfire sword, or whatever it was called. And a captain of the second company, and Tushan never even got a model. Yep, that is true. Yeah, Braearth Ashmantle hurts the most. I've always kind of looked at that unit as a, you know, we don't have a Primarch. And it's not on the horizon that Vulcan will come back to 40k in the near future. But having a unit that was a legacy, literally built by the Primarch, left for the chapter, felt kind of wholesome in a metatextual sort of way. And I can't help but feel the thematic significance in losing that model hurts. Feels like GW knows not what they do. Well, I'm about ready to wrap, not to end the stream with such a dour sentiment, but time's coming up and I don't feel like working on this base anymore. And I'm basically in edge highlighting jail on the model. So I think we'll wrap up the stream here. Here's a little update of the watery base. Yeah, you can see it's starting to dry in our splashy wave shape, which I think looks pretty decent. Should help the effect, I think. And when it comes to painting that water, I think it'll be pretty interesting. A problem for future me. But with that, yeah, apologies for the more quiet streams. Some streams are more hobby-centric and less conversational than others, but hey, that's how it goes. Thanks to everyone who tuned in, who liked the stream, and shared in the hobby camaraderie. And with that, I'll wrap this one up and catch you guys in the next one. See ya!